We're doing this thing, all right. It has been a while since I've used this channel before. Things have changed quite a bit, but I'm here. Gonna start trying to do some stuff. Not the same 14-year-old I was 17 years ago. Not making the same kind of videos.
Smooth. No, I'm not asking you to give up your firstborn child. I just want you to drink some wine.
But I think 14-year-old Logan would appreciate using the same channel, and I think it's a nod to a weird kid doing weird stuff, but still trying to do things that were new and innovative. YouTube hadn't been around long, but I thought it was fun making YouTube videos and made them for the few hundred people in my high school, and that was really it. But I think it's a fun nod to pick it back up, so that's why I'm here. Recently quit my job, gonna start my own business, been building a product for the last year and a half, but thought it'd be fun to pick up this channel and start a first video that is what's been happening in the last 7 years. I've got a 1.5-year-old running around my office throwing a football, so that will most certainly distract me. I was gonna have the football myself just to try to kind of balance out the nerd in here, but this is gonna have to, this will have to do all the balancing right up here. My Johnny Manziel football and my Cowboy star. Hopefully this video isn't boring. If it is boring, people aren't gonna watch it, but this is just kind of a recap of what's been happening the last 7 years. Where am I now, and what am I gonna do with this channel? What kind of content am I gonna make? I always liked making content. It was fun making videos back in the day. I guess that's what happens when you break your neck and tear your hip all in a matter of weeks and can't do anything. And that's kind of been a genesis and a key part of my whole life. And so making those videos was a lot of fun, and I think about it a lot. And while I don't want to make videos that stupid, I'm still down to make stupid stuff. But I'm excited to try to create stuff and talk, and a lot that's changed and shaped me over the years. I think I can create things that can help people and hopefully inspire, and at the very least keep a journal of my journey and what's happening, and maybe tell an exciting story and be part of an exciting story. All right, so finished high school, graduated valedictorian. That was pretty cool. Again, that's one of those landmark things that I said, if I can do that, I can do a lot of things. That and running a half marathon, because I hate running. That didn't happen for another 5 years later, but I did that and I was sick. And I tell myself all the time, if I can run a half marathon, I can do a lot of things. But then after I graduated, went to A&M. Actually went there for a semester and then dropped out because I got an opportunity to be in a movie. Felt called to go there and went, and it was really awesome, and I learned that I didn't want to do film. So all of the film work and the Alone Time with Logan videos I did kind of taught me stuff, but led me to kind of work in that and made me remember how much I love sports. So instead of being an engineer in college, I did sport management and then later Spanish, because Spanish was awesome. I loved it. Got to share the gospel in it. It was cool. And realized I love languages, and I got a knack for them. So studied those in school. While I was there, I started playing this little sport called spikeball that you maybe have heard of, maybe you haven't. Played it competitively for about a decade. I like to compare to myself like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tony Romo was a favorite. I like to use that one as well. I never really accomplished anything that great, but I was competitive. I had one year where I was earned like a top 10 team sponsorship, and that was really cool. So when I die, like in my bucket list, pro athlete, I will check that off. I'm taking this one to the bank. I like to tell people I made hundreds of dollars doing it. I may have been a lower level pro athlete at a sport no one's heard of, but it counts for the bucket list. So, sorry. So played competitively at A&M. I started the first ever college club at A&M, or not A&M ever, for spikeball. The first college spikeball club anywhere. I think a few months later after I started the club, there was a tournament at Harvard that a lot of people talk about, but I actually hosted a tournament at A&M before that. So, kind of a cool part of Roundhead history. The sport will always have a special place in my heart, and I hope to have success so I can return favors to that sport and help it grow, because it's been a big part of my life, as you'll see. So started that club, kept playing, eventually graduated. I've got all my notes here on the side, so I'm going to read them as I go. I didn't memorize it. Well, I haven't memorized because it's my life, but whatever. Got married in 2018 as I was playing competitively, doing all that. And then I think in 2017, I started Taser, Texas Association for the Sport of Round Net. So we ran tournaments around Texas. We were the governing body. So I guess I should note that the first ever business I started was in 2014, the National Collegiate Round Net League in CRL. So it was the first ever really organized college event with College Round Net. I see it as a predecessor. Most people don't know about it, but College Round Net started, which I was largely involved in and a big part of a few years later at Spikeball. But that was between A&M, Baylor, UTD, and the school down in Austin, and A&M came out on top. So really, A&M was the first ever collegiate champion in Round Net. Take that to the bank. And so I graduated, and then I started working for Spikeball. So played there competitively, but made my way there. And when I started working for Spikeball, I just realized the need for a lot of tech. So I graduated sport management in Spanish. College was fun. I enjoyed what I learned a lot. Not the most intellectually challenging, but I enjoyed all the studies. Translation class was probably my favorite class in college. But graduated and started teaching myself tech immediately. Learned API integration because I knew I needed to connect with this software called FileMaker to do my job better. And then after that, realized I need to learn more than API development. So I taught myself full stack JavaScript. First project on that, I built a backend server to basically do automation management for some systems. Some of the tools we were using didn't do what I wanted. I knew I could custom build them, so I built a custom automation tool for that. And so then from there, just kept building and growing stuff. In 2020, we moved to California. At that point, my pro RoundNet career kind of ended. I was tried to play, couldn't find people to play with, and I was starting to get washed, and everyone in Texas blew up, and then I came back and wasn't as good and kind of ended there. But after that, in 2020, I took a full stack Python course, just adding another language to my list, and built one of the coolest things I've ever built, RoundNet Analytics Worldwide. It is an analytics platform for RoundNet. You could take stats while a game was going and then get full analytical breakdown. So not just stats, but full analytical breakdown. Started building a little bit of live score keeping so that people could follow games live, but kind of paused on that because it wasn't worth the effort at the time. But in the next few months, I might actually bring back Raw. Using AI, there's a lot of things I could speed up and kind of push some things forward, so that would be pretty cool, and that would make me happy. So if I'm able to partition the timeout, I might do that, because that'd be pretty sick. So then, but took that full stack JavaScript course, built Raw with that with a couple of buddies, Brian and Sam. Huge parts in doing that, could not have done it without them. But it was a fun project, but the audience didn't have the taste for the power of what it was, and wasn't enough of an audience out there for analytics in the sport. So, kind of moved on. And one thing I did part of Raw was create a digital asset trading card platform, and that was really cool. So you could unpack RoundNet trading cards and try to get rare ones, and that was really cool. That was one of my favorite things I've worked on as well. And then in 2022, I went through a cybersecurity boot camp, really just to bolster my security skills. So I'd kind of been doing development, realized I want to get a little bit more in security. Yes, buddy? Sorry, the one and a half year old's talking to me. Why don't you play the football, buddy? You want to play the football? What do you want? He wants to play with my games. Why don't you play the football or the Ducks? My office is kind of always a mess now when they play in here. That's okay. Where was I? 2022, cybersecurity boot camp, bolstered those tech skills. Around that time, a little bit earlier, I'd become the director of technology or technology director at Spikeball. And then in 2022, also had my first child, my daughter, Avery, which was a lot of fun, a blessing. And she's 3.5 years old now, which is crazy. So then in 2023, I actually left Spikeball and joined GigStream as the director of technology, where basically the last 3 years I've built a ton of cool stuff. Learned a lot about the internet service provider world, networking, and we built a lot of really integrated systems. I came in, it was, there was nothing in place. So we had to build integrations, automations, map out architecture, put it in place, integrate sales pipeline to provisioning to construction to network. So many different pieces, so many automations, so many developments put in place. Did that for about 3 years. I'm not going to talk about after that yet. We'll get to that. But went on a gig stream, and I guess biggest piece is just got to lead a really awesome team, build a team, all the dynamics of running and building a team and getting coached by the CEO there as well, which was instrumental for the next steps in my career. 2024 had my son, who's the one running around my office right now, pouring all my games on the floor. And then in 2024 as well, I stepped away from Taser. Similar to kind of Raw, not as much, just the effort and what we wanted it to be. It couldn't be that with what we wanted to do. And couldn't justify it with our growing families. And so we kind of passed it off to, I'll call it the next generation of Taser. And so it's really cool today to see stuff being posted on the Taser Instagram and see it kind of coming back to life a little bit. Makes me proud, and I love seeing all the people who are working on it because it's still a legacy I've left behind. But it was cool, and again, I loved every minute of. Well, I won't say every minute. There were times I hated it, but overall, Taser was awesome and loved what it did. And seeing the guys win the national championship and then Worlds being part of our program was really cool. Like, it's the smallest amount of credit you could take for something like that, but I like to hold on a little bit. Seeing they went through our the system we built for the sport in Texas. And then over the last few years have built several different technologies. Outmanaged Fantasy, which was a fantasy platform for if you can outmanage your friend's fantasy team. It basically gave you an overlay of their roster. You got to set the roster every week, and you just got to see, hey, did I manage their team better than them? So that you could tell your friends, no, it's not that your team was bad, it's just you're a bad manager. Part of that was self-inspired because I think I might be that way. I just set the wrong players, and I can't seem to win it all, but that's a limit for another time. One day I'll win, and my friends won't make fun of me, but it's not this day. Okay. And then book club, chat, stats. Well, I'll manage fantasy. That one was just kind of a fun to learn a few skills. Didn't really try to push that one or make it too much outside of what it was. So that one's kind of on the shelf right now. And then book club, chat, and stats. Been in a book club with a few really good friends for about 3 or 4 years now, where we've read some really awesome books. Everything from light fiction books like Mistborn to books like Thinking Fast and Slow and the Brothers Karamazov, which I didn't finish and was one of the worst books we've read. But it's the only book I haven't finished. I'll note that. But book club, chat, and stats let us run the club and chat inside of it, do book votes, see stats and everything. A lot of stuff we were doing in a spreadsheet before. And so that one I actually maintain with and grow, and it's starting to get some traction. And so another thing I built. And then, the one big thing was open world. What started as adventures, now open world discovery, originally created to be a real world RPG, taking the spirit and adventure of exploring an open world video game, but applying it to a real life city, trying to capture that same essence and excitement. It is changed a little bit now to where it's a gamified engagement platform. Some of those core ideals are still integrated into it, but what I wanted it to be didn't make sense with the power position I was in. And so the new way is getting more traction, and there's a lot more interest, and it still allows some of those same things that are really, really cool and powerful and fun to experience in the real world. So I'll touch a little bit more on that later, but open world is going to be a big part of my life coming up. And so 2025, there's a small one, went to Japan, which, I think looking back will be a big shifting point in my life. One kind of just reminded me how much I loved learning languages, and so I decided to start learning Japanese, and I'm actively learning Japanese. I always wanted to be a polyglot and know lots of languages, and so I realized, why not? Why not now? Let's just do it. It's better to fill time with learning vocab and grammar and then scrolling social media or doing other things. It keeps me a lot more focused with my time, and I love learning skills. And so started learning that. Currently playing Pokopia in Japanese, and it's nice because it gives me an excuse to sit down and play a video game. But even if playing a video game just means translating words for 20 minutes, it tricks myself into thinking it's fun, and it is. And then all that brings me here today. As of last Friday, I have left my full-time role at GigStream, and I am going on to start my own business. So really looking to build out open world discovery and make it a platform, throughout the world, that it allows people to have a networked profile to go and explore, earn badges, challenges, discovery streaks, take on adventures, get on leaderboards wherever you are, and ultimately help cities actually let users engage with what they have to offer. A lot of cities right now are just putting maps out there on an app and maybe putting a tour out there and get excited when a few hundred people go on a tour. But there's so much more opportunity to actually build an engaging world that's gamified and rewards people for what they do and lets them track all this in one place. And we're going to be that platform. So you're going all in on it and excited to see where it comes. And it's, always been a dream of mine, always been the plan to start my own business. And everything I've been learning for the last 10 years has done that. And I've always told my team, told my managers, like, my job is working for me. And if I don't feel like my job is working for anymore, then I think it's time for me to not work for it. And so now it's time for me to go and do this and figure it out and jump into the world. And so part of that is going to be creating content, sharing my builder's journey, what I'm creating, how I'm creating it, what I'm working on, how it's going, and then just some other things as well, like taking tweets of these people who say they built this incredible AI thing in one day and seeing if it's true or not, seeing if I can do it, things like that. So this is really just me starting and going to do it and see what happens. So my goal will be to put something on the calendar every week and release it and keep doing with that and doing small things, big things, but just making it happen. So I think that's pretty much everything. I guess that one thing I will say is open world will do, we'll still be capturing the idea of 100%ing a video game, exploring everything a city has to offer, and then real world escape rooms, starting with simple ones and growing to some really complex stuff. Like I want to create experiences that bring people from around the world to a city because they know there's this really cool open world escape room experience on there. And then the businesses that are a part of that, they then get that economic impact from that, and there's engagement from there, and people win real things from real restaurants, and it grows communities, and it builds this digital layer on top of the real world so that people actually engage with it. So I'm really excited for what it can do. It takes a lot of passions of mine and combines them together, and I'm going to try to capture it all. So I think that is really it. If you made it this far in the video, congrats. I don't think anyone really watches video because this is the first video, and it's sandwiched between, hi, I'm Logan, and all of this. And so, if anything, maybe we'll just give more views to those old videos of mine from when I was a teenager. But yeah, here we are. Come with me, come join me. And if you're watching this, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you joining me on this journey. Bye.